So the ring, well, I should say first, Tam Thera sat next to me. So the ring goes around one time, and I look at the ring, and I give it to Tam, and it goes around the second time to be blown out. And I pass the ring to Tam,
Yes.
and she says, Lindy, take it, it's yours. Now my initial thought is, what are you talking about? No, it is not mine. I said, no,
That's
take
what
it, it's
you did.
yours.
That's
Take
right.
it,
You
it's
did
yours.
say that.
Well, I never got asked, my husband now of 40 years never asked me to marry him. He never gave me the opportunity to say yes or no. I did blow out the candle eventually, but we have had a lifelong marriage. We are very happy. He's a wonderful man. And even though I never had the chance to say yes, I would marry you, we are very happy today and best friends.
And he's very, very fine.
And he's a fine man.
And when she was real hesitant, he said, yes, it's yours.
He came out from behind the wall, went down the steps, and said, yes, Lindy, it's yours. So that's our story, and we're sticking to it. I would like to say just one or two things. Colorado Women's College was a place where women really got to explore what they could be and really be all that they could be. And I was left with the legacy of knowing I could do anything I wanted to do. I was a student assistant. I think I developed strong leadership skills at the college. And after being married for 5 years, I ended up joining the Air Force to join my husband. And I ended up having a 29-year career in the Air Force. I retired as a colonel, and the skills that I gained not only at Tudor Hall School for Girls, but Colorado Women's College, gave me the leadership and the wherewithal, and I knew I could do anything. And I was able to do that throughout my military career, and I am thankful and grateful to the lifelong friendships that I have from CWC and the skills that they gave me and the knowledge that I could do anything. So
that's right. And the other blessing, here we are all these years
later, the best of friends, and
I hardly did not marry a cadet, but still.
And I swore I would never marry a cadet. So, anyways, but we thank CWC, and we are thankful for the University of Denver and the Women's College that they continue the tradition of educating women and helping women be all they can be.
So we're grateful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mary Thunberg, and I attended CWC from the fall of 1966 for my first 2 years of college. I started in June of '66 as a student secretary to Dr. Vera E. Johnson, and then I was promoted to be a student secretary for Dr. Eugenie Dawson. And I was especially thrilled to be able to go to this private women's college with such fine professors, small classes, and very committed desires for all the students to do as well as they could. You had personal attention, you had a caliber of caring that I did not find when I moved to the universities. I transferred 2 years later, and certainly the caliber of teaching was good, but it was the caring that wasn't what I noticed, and maybe it was because of the numbers. But I just felt that the whole design of the college was to focus on giving each person as good a background in whatever class they were taking as possible. The wonderful things that we were able to do, like to go to Rancho Chanquillo, to go to the other Camp Freeman, but especially Rancho Tranquillo was such an experience in elegance that it was just a delight to experience that. The classes were I feel academically very challenging, and I had a professor, Dr. Ria Stavridis, for philosophy, and we had 7 students or 6 students in that class. She taught so thoroughly on Plato and, well, you start with Socrates and Plato, that there wasn't anything that I took at a university that compared to the depth that we got in that class. The other classes that I especially appreciated were, I took dress design in home ec. I think it was home ec, but maybe it was called something else. But it was dress design. I later became an owner of a clothing store and did do a little bit of clothes manufacturing in addition to selling clothes in New York City. I know that the background and the respect that we had as people, as women, we were able to take ourselves more professionally serious. We didn't have to compete with men on the campus. Our focus was on being great women, and not for men, but for ourselves. So I just can't praise Colorado Women's College enough. And it was my error to think that that I needed to transfer, but that was because I was going to get engaged and I needed to know if I was really, this was going to be the man of my life, and so I thought I needed to live away from him for a year, and that was not the best decision, I think, in the end. Although, life goes on and you're very resourceful. I just have so much gratitude for the people who continued the legacy of women's education. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Lovely, and I would like to tell you one of the stories about my year abroad. I was in the Vienna Project in 1964-65, and we had an allowance for our dinner meal in the evening. We had breakfast and lunch at the hotel, and so in dinner we had to go out in the town. Some of us were a little short on funds, as in pretty broke most of the time, so we figured out how we could take one of the rolls from our lunch menu and save it in our room for the dinner meal, and then we only had to buy like a piece of fruit and a little bit of meat. So I have on my bracelet what's called a semmel, which was the roll that we really liked. We had them both for breakfast, and then they usually gave us at least 2 for the noon meal. Problem is, someone discovered that we were putting symbols in like a Kleenex or a roll or something and hiding them either in pockets or purses or something on our person. And in the 60s, it was really not a very good thing to steal from a dining room. Dr. Landler somehow got word of it, whether he saw us or whether one of the waitresses actually clued him in, we never knew, but he started calling us semmel snatchers. So the 30 of us who were in Vienna that school year have now called ourselves the semmel snatchers, and when we get together, we're semmel snatchers.
I'm Linda Gates Hubline. I graduated in 1971. And the most important thing I think I remember about CWC is that the Foreign Studies program was an absolute treasure. I looked at colleges and decided that that was for me, so that was where I was going to go. So I knew I would have to learn a foreign language, so that was German, and I ended up in Vienna. And the year spent in Vienna with the family was just an incredible, incredible year. I don't think I ever looked at history the same, art history, music history, any of that. It was never the same, so it changed my life in that respect. So that was the reason I came. How about you?
Well, my name's Mary Mark Welch, and I had looked around for colleges, and I don't know exactly why. I think I came to Colorado Women's College because I'd gone to a really large high school, and I wanted to go to a smaller college, and have a little bit more personal experience than I would have had at Texas Tech or one of the other schools. And I was a French speaker. I mean, I had studied French before I came here, and I was planning to go on the junior year abroad program, but I kind of fell in love with this one guy.
Oh, kind of.
Yeah,
Just fell in
and
love.
I backed out at the last minute. You know, remember we had to qualify for that and everything. And when they got my deal, they said I don't think I want to go. It's 2 weeks before they leave, and she said she doesn't want to go. But then I had to make all new friends because most of my friends had gone abroad. And that was a positive experience too, because now I know a lot of kids from the class of '72. So it was a wonderful, wonderful time in my life, and I'm so glad I picked this college and met all these great people.
I know. We've been friends for over 40 years.